Good morning. If we have not met, I'm Sherry, and I'm with equal co-host Megan Davis, and we are coaching businesses for success. We help bookkeepers start and grow their bookkeeping business to create the life they want. You can find us on YouTube and on podcast. So we are on podcast everywhere now. Good job, Megan. And so wherever you listen to podcasts or get those information, especially if you have a commute, you may want to add that, download it, because it might help you grow your business. With that said, I truly think that just even if you attended this free call every week, you could grow your bookkeeping business and achieve the life you want. On this call, we give you behind the scenes of our own bookkeeping businesses, what's working, what's not. Q&A does happen at the end of the call, though. So if you are in the Bookkeeper Blueprint, Fast Start, the course, the group, we prioritize those calls. After that, any question goes, guys. If you have a question that is keeping you stuck in your bookkeeping business, let's get you unstuck. If you are listening to us on Facebook Live, feel free to join us in the Zoom link, and I will drop that link real quick for you. Okay. Danny is one of our students who like a month ago, posted tides were changing. And she recently connected to another bookkeeper, and it has her in person locally. It has her getting out of her comfort zone. So a lot of times in virtual bookkeeping, we want to stay at our desk behind computers and at home in where pants are optional. However, sometimes putting pants on can be a lot of fun. And she said, I'm actually finding it more enjoyable to go to in-person client meetings than the virtual sales calls. And I found that true when I was just starting out. I actually do thrive on in-person conversations. I think my personality comes out, their personality comes out, they're more relaxed, and you can see body language, not just facial responses. So it is a lot of fun to have in-person client meetings. So if you're thinking about doing advisory or something like that, definitely test out doing in-person client meetings. She says, I'm realizing I had put myself into this little box with no wiggle room, and it sort of removed the people factor. This new client brings me back into the world a little bit, and I'm actually feel like I'm helping someone in ways that strictly the virtual realm is lacking. And what I thought was so cool about her post, this update that she gave, and obviously there's a lot to it, I just took a little section out of it. One, she's making traction and she's trying new things. So anytime we get stuck, we want to try new things. We want to see what is keeping us stuck. And she also, you'll hear here, she identified something that is lacking when she was serving customers. Anytime we can find the things that are lacking in our service to clients, when we improve those, we create a better product, a better package, a better service overall, and we start actually solving problems, which is the whole point of being an entrepreneur. So I love this. Congratulations for the recent wins. If you have not added these Thursday calls to your calendar, this is a QR code to add them to your calendar. So if you use Google or Apple or whatever you use for your calendar, you can use this QR code to grab those and add these to your calendar. That calendar will also have any of our webinars and trainings that are available to you as upcoming events on that calendar as well. So if you want that, grab it. And this is just me pausing in case you want to grab it, but let me know and I can circle back too if you miss it. Today, we are talking about, should you offer coaching or training to your clients? And Megan, you'll have to chime in on whether or not you did this at the very beginning, but I found that so we have a mini course called Make Money Faster with back work. So cleanup, SketchUp work, things like that. I also found the second way I could make money faster was through coaching and training. So strategy calls, teaching someone how to use QuickBooks. And it was asked a lot. So that was a great way I could do a quick project and just bring money in the door when I was just getting started. Did you do any of that when you were getting started?
Yeah, it wasn't so much when I first started though, because I was still kind of learning. But I have done like throughout the time that now that I've had my business, I've done several of the training and stuff. And I even like recorded, toward the beginning, recorded a video so I could kind of just send them the video so they had the video. So I wasn't actually on a live call all the time. But I've done a lot, and majority of those ones that I've done the trainings with have turned into clients since, because they were like, oh, it's just easier for you to do it than me learn how to do it.
Absolutely. And so this is a great way to, like, especially if you know what you're doing, if you are learning, don't feel like you have to do this, or feel like you can sit down. You don't have to have them on a live call.
Yeah.
So Megan was describing she would get access to their QuickBooks file, use like a Loom or some sort of software to screen record. You can even turn like you don't even have to have your face on that. Like you can just record the screen talking to them. And then if you use something like there's a few different softwares. I'm currently using Descript to cut out um, or correct my Texan, like, which is coming out in all of these videos, which I feel like no one knows I'm from Texas until like you're reading captions and you're like, wait, what? I apologize for that. So, because I'm told all the time, you don't have an accent till you read the captions. And I don't have an accent. My brother and sister have a very thick Texan accent. I grew up with speech issues. I had a really hard time forming words. And so I was in speech therapy forever. And I think that like really impacted my accent, probably to, I mean, God is good to whatever, but as far as like needing, maybe not needing a thick Texan accent, but it does come out. If I'm stressed, it comes out in captions. So I apologize for all of you guys listening to these lives. And then they come out when I'm super excited about something. So, and I get excited a lot on these calls. So I apologize. It's fun. But with like something like Descript, like we're using to add captions, you can just read through it and delete stuff, and it clips the video too. So if you're like recording, instead of stopping to pause it, you could just keep going. So there's a tip for that. Okay, so what does this look like? Okay, so you have your, it can look like a couple of different things. When I first started, I did it in a couple of ways. It could be a package where you offer a series of training. So for what I did it was $100 a month. And at the end of the quarter, so I did not do quarterly bookkeeping, but this is what I did in kind of lieu of that. I would charge them $100 a quarter. And then at the end of the quarter, so I would offer them like a call at the beginning. Here's how to. I would review their books, like give them some training in that first 3 months. Then at the end of the quarter, we would get on a call together, and I would have already looked at their books, and I would go over, hey, here's the things that you're doing wrong. Here's how you can improve it. Here's what you should be doing. Like, let's catch the mistakes before you keep going. And then they would continue paying me $100 a month. And I would just get on from that point on quarterly and review their books and send them like a video, or you could opt to meet with them every quarter after that. But that was like a review, like, let me train you, let me oversee you doing your QuickBooks. So that was one way I did it. I also did training, like Megan referenced. I had someone come to me, hey, I just want you to teach me how to do this. I recorded videos for him, labeled them, sent them to him, but he had a really hard time with technology. So he had a really hard time with the videos. I think I had to like, it was really bad. Needless to say, he's still a client today. So there's that option. And then the other thing I offered was strategy sessions. And this was probably one things I'm really thankful I offered when I offered it. Again, I had 2 under 2 when I started. So at this point, I had, so like my oldest had just turned 2. My youngest was a year old, right? Like they're 13 months apart. Um, so I offered strategy calls, and I had someone reach out to me, hey, I want to pay you a strategy call. Like I want these strategy calls because he's in corporate and he was using desktop, but as he was like the director of accounting for a large corporation, and they were using desktop, but it was a little messy and it wasn't doing everything that he needed it to do. So he would just pay me to get on calls with him, and they would last 2 to 3 hours each. And I remember one week we were traveling to see family, and I remember sitting at the computer like a couple of days that week. Like I can remember where I was sitting at their dining room table on these calls. And I remember looking up at the end of the week because he had had like 6 calls, and I charged $150 at that point per call or per hour. So in 6 hours, I had made our mortgage payment. That was, I mean, a tiny mortgage. It was like $1,000 a month or so, but like it was our mortgage payment. It just was a big deal to me at that point. Like it's still a big deal to me. I'm still really like, that was because I also didn't have to do any work. I didn't have to stay up late. It was on and off. My husband was able, it was like when the kids were napping or whatever. And so, and at that point, like because of cameras, you only see so much of me. If I needed to hold a baby, I just held the baby. And well, I was pregnant. I was pregnant at that point in time. So I had a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old. So I didn't have to hold a baby. But I do remember my mother-in-law at one of those meetings feeding me lunch, like bringing me a like really nice sandwich. She's a wonderful cook. Guys, come eat her food. So Megan, you would enjoy her food. She's 100% gluten-free and
awesome.
all of those things. So she makes wonderful food. You do not notice that you're gluten-free in my family if you're gluten-free. Like
That's awesome.
So anyway, that's her. So that's one way I use training. And I remember in that season of my life, like it was really nice to not have to actually do the work to make money. So I didn't have to actually click the buttons and do bookkeeping. I did a lot of that, but I remember when I was doing that in that season being like, oh my gosh, I'm making money without having to stay up late, do the work, or like I just was able to get on my computer. While I was on my computer, kind of, either the kids were playing or napping or someone was watching them around the house. And that was just for a short season, because if you have young kids, you cannot be on a 3-hour call, right? So that quickly ended once number 3 came in into the world, which was like 2 months later. So that ended. It lasted like 3 months, 3 to 4 months, where he was paying me to do that. And I gotta believe I let him, like, whatever question you have. And we just solved it. I did have to do a couple of like research. I did have to do some research, which he paid me for at $150 an hour, where just stuff wasn't working in his, like, they were a large desktop user and a large like enterprise type client. And they were trying to integrate billing and QuickBooks Time and all of these things. So there was some research that we had to like do to fix stuff. But so that's an example. And you can do packages. So some of you guys do packages where you have like your bookkeeping, small, medium, large. You could change that. You could have a coaching package. So if you're small, like, so instead of taking on a client, at $100 a month to do their bookkeeping, maybe give them a coaching or training package instead, so that you don't like, part of that depends, like, do you have a team? Are you outsourcing the, like, is your team taking and delegating that $100 a month bookkeeping? Now in my life, I would rather have the $100 a month bookkeeping. I don't typically charge $100 a month, but I'm just, for example, in my life right now, if you gave me the $100 a month bookkeeping in concept, right, the small bookkeeping client, I would rather do that because I can give it to my team, versus like if they're wanting to talk to me versus the team, I don't really want to do training because I don't want another call. Does that make sense? Like, I would rather now have the small bookkeeping. But if you're in a season of life where you're like, oh, I'd rather do the live call or the training, or maybe not even live, I can just do that. Or I've got this other thing for them, go ahead and create that package as a standalone package and use that to serve the clients that maybe you're not serving in your packages. You might find clients who want you to train their bookkeeper. They have an on-staff bookkeeper, and for lots of reasons, maybe they want to keep them around. Maybe their bookkeeper they hired, she's from church and she's a newly single mom, or Megan, no, no pun there, but right, like, and they want to keep her, and so you can be the one that offers that training to enable, like, isn't that like glorious, like to enable someone to have a job? You get like, right, I was also brought in, actually, as an example, I was brought into a situation like that. It wasn't the story I just told wasn't the story, but the owner did want to keep the admin because he really did need an in-person person. And so I was brought in to train her and actually like do the reconciliations, but she did all the office stuff. So there was part training, part bookkeeping, and I charged for both. That would be another option. And some of these things you can tailor to your niche. Are you targeting more corporations where they want to have someone in person? Maybe create a package around that. Are you trying to replace the corporate person as an outsourced accountant? Know that, and maybe don't offer the training, right? Like, so definitely know your niche and what you're trying to do there. And maybe it's training the support staff on how to get receipts or how to get things for you, how to do the deposits, and that's also training. Now, I wouldn't, again, we talked a couple of episodes ago that you don't want to, I wouldn't go as broad, spread yourself too thin. Like, you don't have to offer virtual assistant services. You don't have to offer coaching or training, and you don't have to offer advisory. You can offer any of those things if they fit you, your business, and allow you to grow it. And you don't even have to offer them always. I currently don't have any coaching or training clients through my bookkeeping firm. It's exclusively bookkeeping. I do all of our training and bookkeeping. So if we had a business owner come to us, we would reroute them, because all of that takes place here, and there's a team in place for coaching and training, bookkeeping. Does that make sense? So definitely things can evolve and change. That is your right as a business owner. As seasons change, as things change. Yeah, I hope that was helpful, just to like even have the conversation of like, what else could you offer if you're trying to bring in money now, or if you just need to change the way you're offering services. Do you have any thoughts, Megan, on that?
Nope, I think that's great. And I totally agree because I'm doing the same now. I'm not doing a whole lot of the training through bookkeeping.
Yeah, just, I mean, as things change, like, and maybe that's just to get money in the door and you don't want to do it in a year. Just note that, like, hey, these engagements are going to change. I'm going to stop onboarding them. And maybe you shorten the engagement. So like maybe right now if you had someone sign, it's going to be 12 months. But in August, it's only going to be 6 months, 2 quarters, because you want to wrap up those engagements. Does that make sense? You can also, at any point in time, always cease offering a service. You're welcome to refund and say, hey, here's your options. We are letting go of this service. This is no longer serving you and I well. You have this option or this option. You don't even have to put the explanation that I just put in there. Hey, we're no longer offering this service, option A or B. So refund or switch over to this service.
Yep.
Simple, like, which, okay, sounds, it's easier to say, because if you start thinking about refunds, do you have the savings? Do you have, like, did you set aside? If not, maybe we need to have a conversation on profit first, or building those cushions into the business so that you can protect the business and allow the business to grow and thrive. And I will say at times having a cushion in the business feels like a luxury. Megan, you're probably like, yeah, when I was just starting out, that was a total, that didn't exist. I was keeping lights on and bills paid, right? Like that definitely does happen. The quicker you can bring money in to transition out of that, the overall longevity of your business is gonna, you'll feel it. But every now and again, if I'm looking for, like something just came up, I did a stupid thing, a really kind thing to my kids, and brought their water table in because it's still like half cold, half warm. And so I brought their water table inside. I dumped sand in it because we've been going to the children's museum and there's like a sand table that they will play with forever. So I was like, I'm just gonna do it. I know, Megan. Yeah, the 2-year-old picks up handfuls and walks across the room and just
I bet your cleaner loves you right now.
I don't know. Seen it?
Oh, they haven't seen it yet.
No. I'm gonna have to hide what's going on. He's gonna have to go back outside for a day. And anyway, so now I'm like, well, do I need a Roomba and a like Roomba mop and stuff? And that's like, what is that thing called where like one expense results in other expenses? Well, I've been saying for years, I don't want a Roomba. I don't want to deal with it. But then I realized that this isn't the only mess that happens in my life. And right now there's dog hair all over the floor where the dog sleeps. And like, because it's hot and cold, he's shedding like crazy and he needs to be like de-shedded, whatever that's called, like,
yeah,
whatever. But there's hair everywhere. And I'm like, well, it would be nice, arguably, to take the Roomba to that area and just let the Roomba go. But you know how expensive those can be? Like if you want it to mop or like empty itself or like refill itself.
So I got one, not a Roomba. I got the Shark brand of it last year around Christmas because it was on sale. And it was like, I don't even remember how much I paid for it, but it was like so cheap that I was like, I have to do it. It was the best investment ever because it mops and it sweeps, and all my floors are like in my kitchen and living room and stuff are hardwood. So like it is the best thing ever.
So I realized I had someone sign up for Gusto and I got like the gift card expired. They resent it to me, thankfully.
Oh.
Which they like don't do, by the way. So stay on top of your Gusto like email, because my email with Gusto is like my personal email because I set it up before like I had everything set up. So pay attention to your Gusto email. Do not let those. That's $300, and I'm like, that's a dent. But there was part of me that was like, what else could I do to just earn that money? Instead of like, that's where I went this week of like, okay, I have XYZ until that gift card expires. What else can I do to like bring some quick money in to like that business? Do I need to run a promo? Do I need to offer training or something? Which was why I thought of this, because it is a way to, hey, Christmas is coming up. People are already looking to get their books in order. Like, there's different ways you can structure packages to bring money in the door. And sometimes
Yep.
we just need to bring money in the door or want to bring money in the door. But like Christmas is a want slash a need. It's really vague there. If it's a want or a need, it's kind of both. Like, because we want to gift stuff. Like, so if you need money in the door and you're like, oh, I need $500 for Christmas, or I need $1,200 for Christmas, or whatever it is. Hopefully it's not like 6,000 for Christmas, but that I know that happens. Like,
Never know.
I never know. I don't know what you're buying. Well, if you have a teenager and you're buying a car, that could be an example. You're buying a car for, all of a sudden, and now you need a really large cleanup. And that's where we talk about making more money make money faster with cleanups. That whole course is dedicated to that specifically. And we see those result in sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, right? Which is the car for the teenager. And a lot of work. But some depends. Like it doesn't necessarily mean it's hard work.
No, and you can contract out some of the work and all the things for sure.
Yeah, there's so many options. I think that's why I like this business so much. Like, there's so many options. There's so
There
many ways
are,
to do it.
and I've told you and Kyle this a lot of times. There's been so many times where, especially with Kaylee doing her competition stuff, and then like now in private school, like all the things, some extra expense or competition or private lessons or whatever comes up, and it's like, okay, like me and her joke about it now. It's like, okay, we need to go find another client, or I need to go do so many more hours for this or whatever, because it's so flexible that you can just, it's not like when you were at a 9 to 5 or this is my income, I can't do anything else with it, but you can with this.
I think that shift alone, exactly what you said, like you are really capped. I can't remember, or I can remember so many times where, I don't know if you guys do this. Don't burn me at the stake for doing this, but I'm that person who like takes notes, or like, actually I'm really bad about taking notes, because here's what happens in church or small group or whatever. I now have a piece of paper in front of me. Well, for so many years of our marriage, money was tight. Like, I could not make enough it felt like, to solve the problem. Because young married people, we didn't have the income to really even like pay rent. It just wasn't there. Kyle was working on getting his PhD, and I was fresh out of college. Like, I wasn't making a ton. So I remember my first, like, so I was making, okay, so this is back when minimum wage was still about $7.25, which I think still exists in some states.
Here, it does here.
So that was minimum wage. I thankfully had gotten to it. So, like, in context, right? I was thankfully base $10 an hour in college. Like, I had gotten some employers to like raise my income, mainly because I needed to. So when I transitioned out, I was at least ahead of the curve, but it still was barely paying stuff. And I remember I got a job as a tax preparer. That was like $7 an hour. Like, that wasn't much. So I went backwards for that season, found an internship. Guys, that was $12 an hour. Then I went to 15. Then I went to 7. So I went to 15 on my own. That was in 2015 when I was like working. Don't do this. I was working as a contractor. This is when I first had my first like bookkeeping freelance job, $15 an hour in 2015. I was finishing my master's. Once I finished my master's, I transitioned to a CPA firm, making $17 an hour. Guys, if you're working for a CPA firm, that means you're doing all the work, not the CPA. The CPA is reviewing it, and they're billing you out at $140 an hour, $120 an hour. They're billing you out 5 to 6x. Just for context, for those of you that are coming to me and are like, I can't charge more than $30 an hour. Just perspective. So then I transitioned, and that was how much a year? I'm like way oversharing, guys. I have a point for this. So 35,000. Then I went to 50. Then I went to like 60 and on up. But that was always capped. Like there were no real bonuses. A $500 bonus around Christmas time, like, which was great. And I thrived on, if you get paid 26 times a year, I had set up the budget so that those extra 2 paychecks a year were like bonus income. Like, but we lived in a state of anytime we got extra income like that, it was spent before we even saw it because there was something to catch up on. There was always something to catch up on. Shoes need to be caught up on. Like, you need to repair and maintenance on the car. You need a new tire. Like, it was always just catch up. And it wasn't until we started having say on when we brought income in that started to shift. It took really being disciplined. So we spent years being really disciplined in our spending, and I got it under control. Like, because I took it kind of, someone has to have control of the money when you get married. Like, and he did. He was busy doing his PhD, so I took it over. And especially when I became a stay-at-home mom, like that was what I focused on. It's like, let's fix whatever this is. And I had these big dreams. And once we became entrepreneurs, did we see that income start to like scale in terms of like you could turn it on and off.
Yep.
In the world of bookkeeping, there is more work than you can handle. So much more work than you can handle. Now, does that mean that it's always the work that you want to do? No. But how can we like either reframe it to be work that you want to do? Or how do we market the work that we want to do? Does that make sense? Sometimes that's like in e-commerce, you create a product that you want, but no one else needs, so it doesn't sell. Whereas if you just step into a market where like everyone's selling cups and tumblers, like you're probably going to have sales if it's cute or whatever. Guys, Gusto, I've had this cup since 2020. It's like, nice. It's a Yeti, so it's like my favorite cup. I did have to replace the lid. Something happened to the lid at one point, so I did replace that for like $10. But I think it's because it's so simple. Like, it's just white. It's simple and it's easy to clean. So with that said, like, do you just need to bring money in the door? If so, maybe let's not be so picky. Getting to that, because really until you're at 6 figures or at the income that you're looking to get, in some ways, yes, any client will do. We need to pay attention to like if we can actually serve the client, but in some regards, any work will do. That makes sense. Does that make sense? I feel like I need to put so many caveats on that statement. So hear that with a grain of salt. Betty Rose says, I'm in that phase of needing to bring money in the door. It's definitely a phase. Can we just highlight that word, phase?
Most definitely, because there's plenty of times, like especially in the beginning of my business, because I was trying to leave my full-time job, that I was willing to do whatever for whatever price. Some things were like, hey, I'll do your back work for free just to get you on as a monthly client because I wanted the recurring monthly income. But like now, it feels good to get on a discovery call because I don't have to say yes to everybody. Like if I feel like they're not a good fit, like you start recognizing red flags and all this on the discovery calls, and like I don't want to work with this type of business or whatever. So yeah, it's definitely a phase.
And I think during that season you get better at your boundaries. I remember heading to the store and I got a text from Upwork. So I was exclusively like on Upwork. Not exclusively. I was on Facebook, but I was primarily 90% of all my marketing was through Upwork. And so I remember getting a message, someone trying to meet outside of my calendar hours. And I remember turning to Kyle. Guys, I think we had our little Miata at that point still. No, we sold that. We had this like little tiny car. And I remember like asking him, like, do I like and it was literally we had just said here's the boundary on when I'll take calls, because I was taking calls at all. It was so disruptive to my life when I was taking calls. And I had just said, I don't want to take calls at this point in time. And I updated my calendar, and then we like literally left the door. And then someone goes to try to book and they couldn't find a time that fit in their schedule. And I don't remember if we said yes to it or not. No, maybe we did, because I feel like I had a moment where I was like, and that's when we changed it. Like, where it was just so much back and forth. But that came about purely because we set the boundary. And it feels like sometimes when you set a boundary, it gets tested. Like in that case, immediately. But I feel like it always gets tested if you put a boundary and you have to say, nope, that's really what I want. And so I'm going to say no. And you're going to say no to whatever the ask is. And that is more for you than it is for anyone else.
Yep.
Okay. So I think we're good for Q&A. I don't know if there's any thoughts that you guys want to add.
I have a question. This is
Yeah.
Lita. On your packages, like your training, you said, what price would you put on there? Would you put an hourly price or to train someone on QuickBooks?
I did more like fixed packages. I did hourly for strategy.
Okay.
Megan, did you ever do hourly for training?
So yeah, so what I would do is I usually started them out like my package would be like $300, and that would include like a video and then like a 30-minute Zoom call if they had questions or anything like that. After that, if they needed additional training, then what I would do is like 150 an hour is how I did it. So I tried to price it more than what I was doing my bookkeeping in a sense to try to convince them to sign on as clients at some point.
Oh, okay. And then on your training packet, did I say training or strategy? Okay. The training ones, I could just set a time that I think that maybe they can catch on. And if they need extra time, then just add it.
Yeah, that's what I did. Like I said, I would get access to their QuickBooks, try to do a training video for them based on their QuickBooks so they knew exactly what they needed to do. That, I mean, that doesn't take 15 minutes typically. I mean, of course, that depends on how in-depth their books are and what all you have to go through and things along those lines. But that did that, and then like, hey, we can do a follow-up Zoom call for 30 minutes, and then any additional after that I charged as well.
So like, for instance, I helped set up, or I told a client how to set up QuickBooks because she didn't have it. And then she started using it. Should I have said that in order for me to help her or to get it set up, that I would charge her to do that? Or I've spent time with her, and she's still wishy-washy about, she doesn't understand why I asked her to pay up front for it's 2023, her taxes for her bookkeeping for 2023. And she's wanting me, because her business, she does hourly. I guess she does the work and then she bills them. And she's not understanding because she's asking me, what is my scope and how do and I've tried to explain it to her. And she set up QuickBooks, but she's also has done some work in QuickBooks, but she's wanting me to do her books. I don't understand. I think she doesn't want to pay me. So should I have started and I offered her my fee for even helping her get it all set up?
Yeah, setup should come with a fee. Now I would think about this two ways. One, if you're actually physically doing it, I was on a training. Now this was a couple of years ago with QuickBooks Online, and like with a QuickBooks expert when they do webinars. for trainings. And so this was a CPA and QuickBooks associated person. And he said in that training to charge $650 for cleanups or setups to get in,
what?
set up the chart of accounts, set up their QuickBooks, get all the settings right, all of those things. Is $650 as a one-time upfront payment.
Okay.
And then if you're offered training on that, that's additional at the $150 an hour mark. The other way you could think about it, if you don't want to do training, could you create a 4-module course using something like Kajabi? And if you guys want a Kajabi link, we have one. That will give you like a discount for it and some training with Kajabi. But like module 1 would be how to purchase QuickBooks using your link or through you.
Okay,
Module
that's what I did.
2,
Okay,
go ahead.
that's what I did. She went through my QuickBooks information to set it up. Did she set
So-
up everything in there?
So did you do the revenue share through it, or how did you do that?
The revenue, no.
So for instance, if they set up QuickBooks through you and they pay the QuickBooks rate on revenue share, you get like $200 over the course of the year. You get monthly payments on that. So like instead of passing along the discount, you actually collect that money. Here's why I say that. So if you do module 1, set up QuickBooks through you, tell them how to do it, tell them what you need to get them set up. So you can have them fill out a Google form. That's module 1 of the course. Module 2 is how to set up like the chart of accounts, connecting their bank, things like that.
Okay.
Module 3 might be, so this is if you're doing training. So maybe setup is separate, and then you could have like an add-on if they actually want training. So you could set this up in a couple of different ways. Module 3 is how to code and categorize income and expenses. And then module 4 is simply how to reconcile and pull reports. That's it. And all of those modules are like 5 minutes each, 10 minutes max. So it's a 40-minute course. So 1 hour of your time with you, right? So it might take you 5 hours to set this up. You could have this set up in a weekend, but then you can charge $650 just for it, or maybe you charge $200 plus they set up through you. So now you've gotten $400 from that one person because you get the revenue from the QuickBooks and you get revenue from the course. So now you got $400 really without having to do anything more than like 30 minutes of like communication with them to set up QuickBooks.
Now, is that through the business? The QuickBook? No, what did we say?
Are you talking about CBG group?
Yes.
Complete. Yeah,
Is
no,
that
that's
through
different.
that?
That's
Oh,
different.
that's not through that. So you would still just, if you want to do that in module 1, you'll just say, hey, go here and do a video recording yourself going there, and then include the link in the description and say, hey, here, go here and set this up. Yep.
Okay, so once they do that, then, and this is what she did, she set it up, but her issue is sending me her bank statements. I guess that's it, but I haven't charged. When I sent her the engagement letter, she kept sent me back, asking me what was my scope and what was I doing. And I gave her that in the engagement letter.
Yeah. So sometimes you just have to re-communicate it in a different way. And that could just be you hopping on and recording a quick video saying, hey client, just wanted to add some context. Here's what it looks like to work with me. We're going to get read-only access to your bank so I can pull statements for you. I can get all of the information. I'll take that all off of your plate. The next step would be I'm going to review the categorizations or code everything for the entire year of 2023. And you're going to talk completely to the client. This is going to be, you can record it on your phone. Next step is I'm going to code everything, categorize it, and get you tax ready. Then I'm going to reconcile to make sure we've gotten everything and that there's no missing transactions. After that, I'm going to give you tax ready financials that you can take to your tax preparer. And then that completes our engagement. So I just wanted to, lay that out for you, let you know this will take, 6 to 12 weeks for me to complete, or 4 to 6 weeks, whatever your timeline is. Assuming I get all of the information by March 15th of 2024, I would expect to have it done to you no later than April 15th or whatever, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Now, it's one more question I have to ask. Can I pull through QuickBooks bank statements for my clients? Because what they've been doing is sending it to me.
If they're uploading that, or if it's, some banks do connect their statements to QuickBooks. It's like Bank of America sometimes does. Some of the big banks sometimes do. QuickBooks checking connects, and you can just click view statements. So you'll see that once they're connected.
Oh, view statements. So they have to do it though on their end.
Not for that side of things. Now there is also a separate, so that's like physically connected to the bank, and you go to the reconciliation tab and click view statements. And so if the bank is pulling in the statements for you, they'll be there. If not, if the client is uploading them to QuickBooks, there might be like a workflow set up, and it might be pinging them. Like if there's a task or workflow set up for them, they can log into QuickBooks and upload that to you. And then you would go to the task section and download those. Most of us have like an outside third party workflow software that we say, hey, upload here, or we just go to the bank and pull them ourselves if we can.
Oh, okay. I have to see about that. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Okay. How to do that instead of them sending it to me through my email.
Use like a Google Drive. Share like a Google Drive folder with them, and then just have them upload it there.
Oh, okay. 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 Thank you.
I don't think I saw any other questions.
I don't see any on Facebook either.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for jumping on today. It's always so much fun to see you guys and talk to you. Betty, if you had any other questions about getting money in the door, feel free to ask. And you're welcome, Jen. On March 19th, we are doing another webinar. I should have mentioned that at the beginning. I'm so sorry. If you guys want that, definitely get this events calendar, so you get the Zoom link and all of those things. You can also go sign up for it. Let me see here. Just getting the events QR code for you guys. If you want to have that calendar to be aware of all of those meetings, definitely use this link and join those, or see that they're happening, and then there'll be a link in here to register. If you want the link and you don't have it, always feel free to ask in the group and we'll make sure you get it. So that is happening March 19th. Megan, did I miss any announcements?
We are also opening up the doors for Bookkeeper Blueprint Plus again. So that is our program with unlimited one-to-ones, unlimited Voxer access to me, Sherry, and Kyle. The unlimited one-to-ones are with any of the coaches. Then you get the course and then the Facebook group and community as well over there, which comes with group calls and things like that too. So, and unlimited one-to-ones, the biggest thing. So I can drop the link for that in if you want to schedule a call to hop on. I'll drop the website over there, and then I'll drop the scheduling link as well, and we can hop on a call and chat about it.
Those unlimited one-to-ones, and so you get access to all the course material, all of those trainings, all of that. So Make Money Faster course, Success Revolution, your first client, advisory, creating a course, doing coaching, all of those things are inside of the Bookkeeper Blueprint as well. So if you need help with any of that, let us know. But yeah, unlimited one-to-ones, the students that are doing those, they use them frequently, and you definitely notice it. Their business notices it. We notice it. We love it. So Megan posted that link in the Facebook chat if you need that.
Yep.
And I will post it in the show notes if you're listening to the replay. Okay, guys, we'll have a wonderful weekend. We will see you guys next week. And we do have a special guest next week. I should have announced that too. So if you're interested in advisory, forgot all the announcements, no big deal.
Okay.
Definitely show up next week live, same place, same time.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.